بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا والنساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى وخير الهدى هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. At the beginning, I would like to remind my brothers and sisters that inshallah today the talk on the lessons on the halal and haram in buying and selling. I do not wish to talk about particular businesses. I do not wish to talk about particular businesses by name or particular banks or particular institutions. However, what I will talk about inshallah is their particular transactions that do take place in these businesses, whoever they may be, so that you may know the ruling inshallah by yourselves. So I'm not here to give fatwa, I'm not suitable for that. If you can turn to the first page, we have really divided the lessons that we will do today inshallah into 4 sessions. It has been a gigantic task to try and summarize the fiqh of buyu into 4 sessions. When, to give you an example, we in our university we have studied that over 2 years, and with the mashayikh outside, I have taken fiqh of buyu. It has taken us 5 years to study it. So to summarize 5 years worth of information into 4 sessions is really a difficult task, and it is perhaps an impossible one. However, what we'll do is we will go through the major points of buying and selling, so that inshallah, perhaps the wujub, the obligation of knowing about the fiqh of buying and selling upon a businessman in the West will be uplifted inshallah if he listens to these lectures inshallah. So if you inshallah pay attention to what we do today, this will be quite enough. I feel inshallah that will be quite enough as a businessman in the West to really understand that which is obligatory upon you, the issues of knowing about business and the halal and haram business. The first session we will go through a brief intro into the fiqh of commerce and sharia, the types of commerce which are forbidden. The second one, the concept of gharar and selling the unknown. The third session, the reality of riba and its different types. And the fourth one, the different modern business dealings. Before we enter into even discussing about buyu, I wanted to talk about the akhlaq, the manners of a businessman. A businessman, a Muslim businessman, has to have different akhlaq from the rest of the businessmen. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam scolded businessmen by saying, "At-tujjar humul fujjar." Verily, the tujjar, the businessmen, then they are the fujjar, they are the evil wrongdoers. Okay, so therefore, in general, we know businessmen end up doing a lot of wrong, end up doing a lot of haram, for which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has classified them as fujjar, right? Therefore, if this is the case, that in general businessmen do a lot of haram, so too the honest businessman has a great reward. This is because Rasulullah ﷺ said as well in another hadith, the honest businessman, the honest trader will be with the prophets and angels on the day of judgment. So if you do follow the ahkam of Islam, and if you follow the akhlaq of a businessman, a Muslim businessman, then indeed you will be from those people who have the greatest of rewards. Why? Because your life is so difficult. Your life as a businessman and doing business in the West is just so difficult to do things in the halal way, and avoid riba and avoid gharar and avoid all of this. It's so difficult. This is why your ajr will also be so difficult, even though what you're doing is a permissible thing. Even though what you're doing is a permissible thing, it's not a wajib thing you're doing, not a mustahab thing, you're doing a permissible thing, right? The first manner of a businessman, first of all, inshallah, he has to have good intentions. his niyyah has to be right, that he is doing this in order to earn a living, a halal living, and he is doing this in order to help the Muslims, to help Islam, to earn a halal living, etc., to look after his obligations for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Thereafter, he has to have good manners. He needs to make sure that he has good dealings, good manners in his business. Of course, a businessman who doesn't have good manners, he's not going to get any customers. A businessman who doesn't smile, a shopkeeper who doesn't smile, is not going to get any customers. So, of course, smile is the essential characteristic of a businessman, for a salesperson, and therefore, a smile is basically only a sign of good manners. A businessman has to have good manners in all his dealings, whether it be with his principal company, with his business partners, with his workers, and with his customers. So therefore, he doesn't cheat them, he doesn't lie to them, he doesn't raise the price so high that he cheats them. He is kind in his dealings, so therefore he might decrease the price for the sake of Allah, as Rasulullah said, Rahimallahu imrin, Allah has mercy upon that man. Samhan idha ba'a, samhan idha ishtara, that he is forgiving when he buys, forgiving when he sells. Meaning that when he buys, it's a little bit carefree, he's a little bit easy, and so he might give the man a little bit more money. And when he sells, he's also easy, and he will, for example, decrease the price a little bit, right? Samhan idha ba'a, samhan idha ishtara. And he's forgiving when he buys, forgiving when he sells. Also, he must be upright in his transactions, so he doesn't cheat anybody, he doesn't fool them in a way in which it is not permissible.